Hello viewers, I am Mr. Dilip Kumar Pal, stand before you today with a topic Indian Constituent Assembly. It is found in paper number 2 of first semester. In my channel, most of the topics of plus 2 first year to plus 2 second year, from plus 3 first semester to fifth semester, most of the topics are found in my channel in video form. And those topics which are not found, I'm trying to include all those topics in my channel step by step. I request my viewers of plus 2 first year to second year, plus 3 first semester to fifth semester to subscribe my channel so that benefit will be of yours. And those of your friends who have not subscribed my channel, request them to subscribe so that at least some category of students will be benefited. Let us start. Constituent Assembly. And so far as Constituent Assembly is concerned, in this video, 4 aspects of it have been touched. One is the origination of Indian Constitutional Assembly. Number 2, formation of Indian Constitutional Assembly. Number 3, working of Indian Constitutional Assembly. And finally, criticisms of Indian Constitutional Assembly. So far as Indian Constitutional Assembly is concerned, it is found in paper number 2 of first semester. And of the Indian Constitutional Assembly, 4 aspects have been focused in this video. One is the origination of Indian Constitutional Assembly. Number 2, formation of Indian Constitutional Assembly. Number 3, working of Indian Constitutional Assembly. And finally, criticisms of Indian Constitutional Assembly. First of all, take off. Origination of Indian Constitutional Assembly. When Indian Constitutional Assembly has been originated, a constitution is very important for a country. A constitution is not a fashion but a necessity for a country. That is why Professor Jelinek has told a state without constitution would not be a state but regime of anarchy. According to Jelinek, a constitution is very much important for a country. A state without a constitution would not be a state, rather a regime of anarchy. It means without a constitution, in a country there will be anarchy or lawlessness. About the importance of constitution, Aristotle once told, a state without constitution will lead not to salvation but slavery. It means without constitution, in a country there will be slavery. So for every country, a constitution is necessary. And now discuss when Indian Constitution has been originated, how it has been originated. In the world, for the first time in 1787, American people have formed a constitution for America by forming Federal Convention. So Americans were the first people who formed a constitution for themselves in 1787 by forming a Federal Assembly. After Americans, people of France imitated them, followed them, and in 1789 to 1791, they also formed a National Constituent Assembly, and they were also successful in forming a constitution for France by forming National Constituent Assembly. And in India, in 1928, M.N. Roy for the first time demanded for a Constitutional Assembly for India to prepare a constitution. But no importance was given to the view of M.N. Roy, who demanded for a Constituent Assembly for India, to frame a constitution. His view was not given importance. And in 1936, in 1934, and in 1936, Indian National Congress demanded for the first time before the British government for the sanction of a Constituent Assembly to prepare a constitution for the country. But British government did not hear to the demand of the Indian people. British government ignored the demand of Indian people who demanded for a constituent assembly for the formation of a constitution for the country. In 1940, for the first time, British government in August offer agreed to form a constituent assembly for India to prepare a constitution. But Indian National Congress did not accept it for some ground. In 1942, Cripps mission came to India and it agreed for a constituent assembly for India to prepare a constitution. But again, Indian National Congress did not accept it for some other ground. In 1946, Cabinet mission came to India and it suggested for a Constituent Assembly for Indians to prepare a constitution, and Indian National Congress agreed. So, Indian National Congress accepted the proposal of the Cabinet mission. So, the Cabinet mission of 1946, which came to India, it sanctioned for a Constituent Assembly, and a Constituent Assembly was formed in India. In this way, Indian Constituent Assembly was formed. So we are clear about the origination of Indian Constituent Assembly, how Indian Constituent Assembly has been formed in 1946 by the recommendation of the Cabinet mission. Now discuss formation of Indian Constituent Assembly. The Cabinet mission, which came to India in 1946, it suggested that in Indian Constituent Assembly there must be 389 members. And out of 389 members, 292 seats will be reserved for the Indian states, and 4 seats will be reserved for Indian, and 4 seats will be reserved for the Cabinet mission suggested that in Indian Constituent Assembly there will be 389 members, and from which 292 seats and 4 seats will be reserved for Indian provinces and chief commissioners provinces, and 93 seats will be reserved for the princely states. So Cabinet mission recommended that for the Indian Constitutional Assembly there must be 389 members. Out of 389 members, 292 seats and 4 seats will be for Indian provinces and chief commissioners provinces, and rest 93 seats will be for the princely states. And out of 292 seats, 210 seats will be for general people, 78 seats will be for the Muslims, and 4 seats will be reserved for the Sikhs. So out of 292 seats, 200 seats will be reserved for the general people, 78 seats will be reserved for the Muslim people, and 4 seats will be reserved for the Sikhs. So in 1946 there was an election for a Constituent Assembly, and in the election Congress got 211 seats, Muslim League got 73 seats, and rest 12 seats were secured by the independent candidates. But Muslim League decided to boycott the Indian Constituent Assembly, and princely states also declared not to join in the Constituent Assembly. So Indian National Congress, who had 211 seats and 12 independent candidates, decided to join in the CA Constituent Assembly on 9th December 1946. So for the first time, 211 members of the Congress Party and 12 independent candidates joined for the first time in the Constitutional Assembly on 9th December 1946 under the chairmanship of Sachidananda Sinha. After 2 days, on 11th December 1946, Rajendra Prasad became the permanent president of Indian Constituent Assembly, and there were two vice presidents, B.T. Krishnamachari and H.C. Mukherjee were two vice presidents. So, Rajendra Prasad became the president of Indian Constituent Assembly, and B.T. Krishnamachari and H.C. Mukherjee became the vice president of the Indian Constituent Assembly. And this Indian Constituent Assembly took 2 years, 11 months, 17 days to prepare Indian Constitution. And it had 11 plenary sessions. Plenary session means it is a session where all the members are present. It took 11 plenary sessions, 114 days for discussion, and total expenditure was 6 crore 39 lakh 6,273 rupees. And out of 7635 amendments proposed, 2473 amendments were discussed, and its last session was held from 14th November 1949 to 26th November 1949. Finally, the constitution came into force on 26th January 1950. So this is how Indian Constituent Assembly has been originated and formed. Now discuss how Constituent Assembly has prepared the Constitution. What is the working procedure? So first of all, it was decided that various fields will have to be selected, like union government's power, state government's power, powers of president, fundamental rights of people, emergency provisions, etc. And for every field, some members were allotted. So how Indian Constitution is prepared, how Indian Constituent Assembly works for the preparation of Indian Constitution. In the initial stage, Indian Constituent Assembly divided various fields like union government's power, state government's power, emergency provisions, fundamental rights, and for every member, for every field, some members have been allotted. And these members have been told that they should discuss their matter, and what they will decide finally, they will submit it before all members. And what all members will agree, it will be written down by a drafting committee consisting of 7 members. Like B.R. Ambedkar, chairman, D.P. Katiyan, member, K.M. Munshi, member, N. Madhav Rao, member, S.M. Sadullah, member, Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, member, N. Gopalswamy Iyengar, member. And finally, the drafting committee was formed on 29th August 1947, and the drafting committee submitted the draft on 21st February 1948 in the Constituent Assembly. Finally, on 26th November 1949, the Constitution was completed, and this Constitution came into force on 26th January 1950. And B.N. Rao was the chief constitutional advisor to the committee. So this is how Indian Constituent Assembly has been originated, formed, and worked. Now discuss what are the criticisms of the Indian Constituent Assembly. The first criticism of the Indian Constituent Assembly is that it is criticized as lawyer's paradise. It means it is criticized as lawyer's paradise because all the members of the drafting committee were lawyers. So they prepared the constitution in their language. So the first criticism of the Indian Constitutional Assembly, that in that the constitution is lawyer's paradise. The Constitutional Assembly has been criticized because the constitution which it is prepared, it is lawyer's paradise. Because the Constitutional Assembly included all the lawyers in the drafting committee. So as all the lawyers were in the drafting committee, they prepared the constitution in lawyers' language. By this, ordinary people are unable to understand Indian constitution because it has been written in lawyers' language or legal language. So it is criticized as lawyer's paradise. The second criticism is that elephantine in size. Indian constitution has been criticized as elephantine in size. When it was prepared, it had 395 articles and 7 schedules. So it is bulky in nature. So it was criticized as elephantine in size. Third criticism of Indian Constitutional Assembly is that it lacks originality because Indian Constitutional Assembly borrowed different provisions from different constitutions and they included it in the Indian Constitution. So it lacks originality. Finally, imposed constitution. It means some critics view that Indian Constitution is an imposed constitution because the Constitutional Assembly, after preparing the Indian Constitution, immediately enforced it without referring to people for approval. So it is known as imposed constitution. So we are clear how Indian Constitution Indian Constitutional Assembly has been originated, how it was formed, how it worked, and what were the main criticisms of the Indian Constitutional Assembly. And in this video, some short terms have been used, like CA. CA stands for Constituent Assembly. CA stands for Constituent Assembly. INC stands for Indian National Congress. DC stands for Drafting Committee. I request +3 first semester students, new students, I welcome new students to my channel. I request +3 first semester students to take the advantage in two ways. Either you watch this video, whiteboard, write down your notes, and if you listen me attentively, also you can write down your notes. Okay, thank you to my viewers of newcomers of +3 first semester. Thank you. Have a good day.